Right, so the show continues. We've had that in the second half. We've got this now. We've got a very special guest. It's a topic that intertwines technology with our daily lives, artificial intimacy, and its impact on human behavior and technologies. So we're very pleased to welcome on the show this evening our special guest, Rishad Ahmed. And Rishad is no stranger. He's a keynote speaker. He's a leadership coach and author specializing in helping companies and individuals transition into the age of AI. He's a certified leadership coach, NLP Master Practitioner, and holds a qualification from the Center of Humane Technology, the creators of AI Dilemma. Not only that, he has a huge following, 75,000 people on LinkedIn, as well as other social media platforms. Rishad, what a topic for us tonight to explore. I mean, this subject in depth. Welcome to the show, firstly.
Thanks very much, Zay. How are you doing this evening?
Good. I mean, can you enlighten us on how AI is reshaping our understanding and experience of intimacy and relationships?
Well, to begin with, we have to understand how much technology has changed over the recent times with the advent of AI, artificial intelligence, and the new forms of dating apparatus that we have. In the traditional environments, we know about things like, the usual dating apps that we're quite familiar with, like Tinder, and people go on Facebook and all those sorts of places, but it's very much humans interacting with scripts or, just basically very, you could call them dumb interfaces. They're not very intelligent. Now think about an artificially created application that resembles a human being in every particular way. So you're not just looking for a particular human being, you're interacting with a bot. A bot is another name for a robot, which resembles a human being in every single way. So you ask it questions, it asks how your day is going. I don't know if you've seen the movie called Her, a very interesting movie that talks about an AI companion. And we're not too far away from that stage either, where we have companions and there are companies spending billions of dollars in research and development to have a robot that walks around, talks, and resembles the ideal looking person that you like and interacts with you in a very real way. But in the short time frame that we have right now, as AI is improving day by day, we have new dating apps that are very sophisticated that will simulate human interactions in a very, very real way. So you start having conversations with these bots. So the bots is a short form for the word robot. And these robots, you tell them a few things about yourself and about the ideal person that you're looking for. They give you a set of pictures for you to choose from, and you say, that's the kind of woman or man that I'm interested in. And you tell them about the things that you like and the things that you don't like. And this bot starts behaving and acting like your ideal partner. Now, after a while, the differences between reality and fantasy starts getting very blurred, as we've seen with social media, which is very much old technology. In fact, social media is from another generation, and what's being rolled out right now, even with companies like Tinder and all the other larger dating apps, is next level. So we are in for quite a rough ride when it comes to understanding intimacy and relationships, which begs the question, what is a relationship and what are we ultimately searching for?
I haven't seen it, but you're saying it talks about a relationship between a man and his AI companion.
Yes, and
I mean, what kind of nature of our connection are we talking about here? I mean, do you think this is an accurate portrayal? Or do you see this as changing our understanding of companionship and love?
Absolutely. It changes it in a huge way. I wouldn't say it changes the impression of love, but if we look on a fictitious level or on a very material level, what we do online is very much looking for someone that is like us. And if you look at any relationship in real life, it's full of arguments, disagreements, disappointments, non-alignments. And when you find these automated systems and bots, if you haven't, please do check out, and I recommend the listeners to watch this movie, Her, which is very much a futuristic, you could call it futuristic, but it's catching up so quickly, where you have a software program inside of a computer that is so well known. It knows you so well. It will know what you like, what you dislike. It will talk to you in the way that you like. And if you look at human relationships, your spouse or your partner is always having a bad day or disagrees with you. Now, if you had a choice between an AI service and it's actually a software service that never argues with you, that does whatever you want, whenever you want, the way you want, who are you going to choose? So the lines become blurred. And if you look at what's happened right now with social media, as in comparison or in competition with human interactions, we find many people choosing to spend time online because the online world is so much more, you have resources and you have excitement available to you. I mean, you could be looking at whatever you want on YouTube. You go onto YouTube and you search for whatever you want. And then you look around the room and there's your husband or your wife or your child in this boring house and this boring job. And so you start escaping to another world. Now, if you take what's happening with artificial intelligence and with VR, which is your virtual reality world where you're putting on these goggles, and very soon what Elon Musk is working with, it would be an implant directly into your brain, which means you wouldn't be able to even tell that the thing in front of you or the system that you're interacting with is outside of you. Human relationships, it's my big gripe that I have, and a great urgency that I have, because I don't think human beings can survive and thrive without strong relationships. And if you look at what's happening right now in the world today, according to the World Health Organization, that the pandemic of the near future is going to be loneliness and depression. And it's already currently now. I mean, 70% of the US population is on antidepressants. So we have a huge problem that's coming.
Well, you make interesting points, Rishad. I mean, if you look at traditional human relationships, conflicts, disagreements, they all play crucial role in mutual growth and understanding. Now, with AI, like you say, they know your likes, your dislikes. It does change the dynamic significantly, right?
Yes,
I don't
definitely
understand, because the AI companions are tailoring their responses, their actions to align with your preferences. But couldn't this lead to a lack of depth and a lack of growth in experienced in-human interactions, which I know you've mentioned as well? So how is this going to shape our expectations from human relationships where disagreements are inevitable to AI relationships?
Well, you touched on a very good point there, because it's only in disagreements and only in problems that we grow. It's when someone tells you, and it's normally someone very close to you, saying, look, the way you're seeing the world and the way that you're seeing someone else is not right, and you need to change that. And then you have an argument, and you sit there and you ponder it, and you say, you know what, maybe she's right. My wife always tells me these things, and I'm like, I don't like him. And he said, but then she'll say to me, but really, are you really being objective here? Because maybe that's some of your limiting beliefs. And because, I work as a coach as well, seeing how people can, interpret things from a very fictitious point of view. And then you go online and well, you look at now when you have these companions online with chat forums, which is still, from the previous generation technology. You can have a companion on the other side of the world, and you have these conversations, and you'll say, you understand me so much better. Of course, that person doesn't live with you and doesn't see, how irritating you can be as well. So I think we are facing currently a huge problem with disconnection, and people will choose to be with their computers or their devices rather than human beings.
Oh, okay. Thank you to you for staying with us on Night Talk. We're going to take a short break, but don't go anywhere. When we return, we will continue with our thought-provoking conversation with Rishad Ahmed, delving deeper into the influence of artificial intelligence on human behavior and relationships.
The brand new season of
Night Talk
Monday to Thursdays, 10 to midnight.
Thank you so much for staying tuned. We are having a thought-provoking conversation now with Rishad Ahmed, delving deeper into the influence of artificial intelligence on human behavior and relationships. And we're exploring the implications of AI on our perceptions of intimacy and connection. So, Rishad, we were having quite the chat there before we went into the break. This is very interesting, right? Because we've known that AI is continually being advanced. You mentioned Elon Musk with the chip in the brain. And we know that, well, we actually don't know or believe, we don't know yet if it can foster better or at least meaningful intimacy amongst individuals, because we've unpacked, how challenges in a relationship provide growth. And here you have a program that's very different. It understands you even better than you understand yourself, perhaps.
Yes, definitely. And remember, Zay, this is the first time in history that we are a global culture. We are connected to everyone across the planet. We can go onto Instagram and look at someone, in Brazil, on the other side of the world. Now, when you think about self-confidence and self-esteem, just on social media, you're going to find it very difficult to compete with an online version. Like they say now, a 12-year-old boy has seen more beautiful women than an emperor would have seen 100 years ago. So now you look at that 12-year-old boy growing up in a society with an expectation or an ideal, seeing the perfect looking human beings, and then looking around going, no, I don't like any of these type of girls, right? Of course, he hasn't got a proper understanding and goes online. Now, if you look at it from a girl and a boy's perspective, the confidence that they have in their self-esteem and their beliefs and, the obsessive behaviors of looking like these people online. Of course, this is previous generation technology problems we're talking about. But when you up the game, we're going to find a whole new level of problem with self-confidence. And then right now, suicide is that it is the number one killer of people in the UK, more than accidents, heart attacks, cancers, and all the rest of it, because people are taking their lives because of the lack of self-esteem, the lack of self-worth, and a variety of other reasons, economic and all the rest of it. So I think the most important thing as well that I want to mention is that anything in the future is daunting because we don't know it. So I think what's very important, rather than being afraid of it, I think we need to embrace the technology, which means that we have to become very familiar, especially as parents and as young people or any age. We've got to embrace the technology and get to know it, because most of us, we're afraid of change. We're afraid of new technology. And I think by becoming familiar with it, you know what's coming, and then you can manage it better. On the positive side, what may happen, which I predict is going to happen, people are going to say, we want to meet up face to face. We're so tired of these artificial things. We actually want to have human interactions. And what ends up happening at this in the end of this movie that I was mentioning, Her, is the two human beings just decide to stick it out with each other. They just realize, what, it's better, the better the devil you know type of scenario. And I think on the one hand, we're talking about how AI will take us away from each other. There may be the strong shift we can see now in Western societies of the minimalist type of living, where people are just disconnecting from social media and reconnecting with themselves, with nature, and with people again. So I highly recommend people check out a YouTube documentary called AI Dilemma, created by Tristan Harris and his team for the Center for Humane Technology. So I embarked on a certification program with their company to really get to know about how technology and all these instruments can change perceptions and start affecting our understanding and perception of reality, because human beings are very easily programmable and suggestible to certain things. And we can have a huge sort of cultural biases, racial biases, gender biases, all being infiltrated or suggested in a particular way. And so for me, AI is in the hands. AI is so advanced, it's in the hands of apes. You could say where we are, as humans versus AI, if you look at ChatGPT and the technology that we have, we're not ready for it. And so, the Center for Humane Technology and Tristan Harris and his team are saying, let's get governments involved for the responsible usage of technology. So that's on the one hand about AI, nothing to be afraid of, but yet it's important for you to know what's coming. And if you look at how technology is being used now, there's no disagreement about how much more. Imagine now what social media and Instagram has been able to establish with very primitive, we could say now, technology. Take that to AI when you get to customize an experience. Imagine a movie created for you. That's what's coming up now. So instead of you going to the box office, going to the movies and watching a popular movie, AI will be able to customize the script with the actors and the scenes and the script as you like it. So reality as we know it with human interactions are going to seem very mundane and very boring. But the whole thing, and so for me, my whole push for companies and for individuals has been get to know what makes you essentially human now, to make that differentiation, how we connect from our hearts, how we desperately need human connection. We crave human connection because we are people of a species that need each other.
Rishad Ahmed, we're going to keep you on the line because we want to talk more with you. That's right. We are talking about artificial intelligence affecting our interpersonal dynamics and the quality of intimacy with renowned author and leadership coach. We'll go to the news desk with Dineo Motaung, and when we come back, we'll continue with this very interesting discussion. 07, and before we headed out to the break, we were chatting to Rishad Ahmed. Very interesting when it comes to the unknown, right? So we're in conversation with Rishad discussing the intricate role of artificial intelligence in shaping human behavior, relationships, and the essence of intimacy. Now, Rishad, with AI constantly learning and adapting to our preferences, right? There's a risk of people becoming entrenched in their ways and perspectives, surrounded basically by an echo chamber of their own thoughts and their own likings. How can we mitigate this risk and ensure that there's a diverse range of influences and exposures?
Yes, is a very good point, because if you're constantly hearing the same thing over and over again as to why you're right and why you know what you're talking about, then you're going to find it very difficult to grow. So like I mentioned before the break, we have to become very aware of what differentiates us as humans and where our priorities lie, especially with the focus on relationships and intimacy. We have to become very clear on our goals. And if we do that properly, then we're not going to fall prey to online apps or even to AI, because I think it comes down to what am I here to do on earth is one of those types of questions. What am I doing online? And what's happening now, and that's why the AI tools are becoming so much more useful, is that because people are just tired of the dating apps. They're just tired of going online and doing the usual things, swiping, and I mean, this is not people know this is not how relationships are formed. Or if you find a particular person that looks the way that you like, does that mean you're going to be able to build a future, build a family? And of course, if you're just looking for a good time, that's just going to sustain a particular need, but that's not a relationship. And I think the clear differentiation between what are my goals in a relationship and how do I want to grow and what kind of partner do I need in order to achieve my goals, rather than looking at, because if you think about what we do on the dating apps or any dating time that we have with someone, is seeing how we align. Do they like this? Do they like this? Are they argumentative? Are they this? Are they that? All from the personal point of view of how do I, in the most selfish form, find someone that would give me the least amount of hassles and give me the most benefit. And so we're looking at people or partners as objects, and we're looking at them like the same way we would look at a new gadget and say, can it do this? Can it do that? Can it do that? And that's very much of objectifying human beings, which is not really how relationships are built, because that's not growth. Because ultimately, what is your purpose and what is your mission that you're trying to achieve. And so that's why we have these there's a new new terminology called snack dating, which is very similar to speed dating. So you can go out on a date, for 30 minutes and then see how it goes. So you can do that entire interaction online because we're so busy. So if you really think about it, a human being that you really want to be with, you have to give them your full attention, your full presence, and get to know them and get to know yourself at the deepest level. And we all know that relationships start off on a certain premise, but they change. And not accepting this reality is going to cause problems because you have these, the illusion of so much choice. You're like, okay, well, I don't like the way that you, tie your shoelaces. I'm going to ditch this one. Let me get back onto Tinder. Now, that's the one aspect that we're currently facing. But the second aspect is, and what's currently happening in places, especially in places like Japan, people are choosing not to have relationships at all with human beings. And they're going online and having virtual relationships with someone. They log on at the comfortable time, have a good conversation, talk about life. They say they don't even need the physical intimacy. They say we just don't need that. We don't. And it was funny listening to some of these Japanese men saying, "Oh, it's all the fluids that are going around and the diseases that you can catch and all the rest of it." And it's to me, it's very abstract in the way that we look at the world. And I think because we've objectified everything in a consumerist society, everything's an object that we give a particular value to. So how do you value love? How do you value God? How do you value growth? Where do children come in, and what kind of values are you inculcating in them as well? So I think it's really important when we come into the age of AI, and then we won't have any issues at all, is if we get to know ourselves really well and get our priorities right. And even from a moral point of view, it could be from a religious point of view, all these things about what matters to me, I think that will shape how you're going to interact with other human beings. And technology will be used as a beautiful tool, which it is, and we're having a conversation now because of technology. So technology is not evil, but the use cases of it can become problematic if we're not realistic. And really, how many of us check our phones 100 times a day? How many of us can manage something as mundane, as simple as a phone? Now imagine when you've got virtual headsets that you put on, and if you see what Google and Apple are releasing now, to take that off and to return to the real world is going to become very difficult because of the dopamine receptors and the dopamine addiction that we have. And a wonderful book to read is called Dopamine Nation by Anna Lemke, who talks in detail about how everybody's addicted. I mean, how do you know you're addicted? Try to keep your cell phone away from you for a day or two and see. Now, that's one level of addiction. Take that further with AI, and we're talking a next level of addiction. So getting back to your roots and connecting to what essentially makes you human is going to mean that you will thrive in the age of AI, and you're not going to collapse at all. And you're not going to face all these, these major issues that people are facing if you use technology responsibly. And remember, technology is so addictive, so it's not really fair on the individual to say, use your phone responsibly, because the content is so gripping and so engaging that you can't switch off. I mean, they designed the content to trigger, for instance, disruptive opinions, side by side. So they put the good guy versus the bad guy, and they're really getting you in on a very deep level, because that's how they make money. Because the future, believe it or not, the number one commodity that we have right now is our attention. We are in the attention economy. So every single device, every single facility is vying for your attention, and that attention has a price tag on it. So wherever you give your attention is money, whether you put it on TikTok or Instagram, there's a price to it. So we are, you could say, a wonderful book that talks about how our attention is being harvested. So we are the things that are being mined. Our attention is being mined so that we can be, suggested in a particular way and shape beliefs and spending habits and all the rest of it. So it sounds a bit sinister, but there is a sinister component to it, with companies that controlling these types of things, and they have enormous power as well. And so responsible usage, getting governments involved, and also realizing it is too powerful. It's not possible for you to put your device down, and realizing that how much control it has of you. So dopamine detoxes, taking time away from it. And one of the big issues is that people are going to get a sense of achievement, but they haven't actually achieved anything in the world. If you look at, especially with men, with pornography and with online gaming, they get the sense of, oh, look, I achieved. I went online, I killed 20 people and I built a castle and I did this. And they get off there and their dopamine has been activated. And they sit there, they're not interested in anything else because they've done the job for the day according to them. But they've actually not interacted in the real world, had a real conversation, done anything of substantial value to what it means to be human.
Good points, Rishad. And I think, like you said earlier, AI is constantly evolving and it's learning from human interactions. Is there a possibility of AI developing a form of consciousness, thereby experiencing emotions and forming genuine connections? Do you see that happening?
Not on its own. Consciousness on its own, there's a thing that's coming out now which they're talking about, which is a general intelligence, which is a new step forward. We're very far away from that, but what programmers are doing now, lobbied by governments and by individuals, is to teach AI technology and these generative models or large language models to incorporate empathy and human understanding of cultural biases, of language biases, because AI right now is not very sophisticated in how it communicates. So we're going to teach it how to become more human, and it'll definitely replicate human behavior in a very deep way. And there will be a time where you won't know that you're talking to an AI or you're talking to a human being. So yeah, that is a possibility in the near future as well.
Because AI is not going away, and we can't stick our heads in the ground, which potentially will not be, something that's going to enrich anyone in our lives or our relationships. But at the same time, how do we not cross ethical boundaries, psychological boundaries, emotional boundaries from this artificial intimacy?
We will be crossing many of those things, and that's the big work that we have to do. And the thing is, governments are generally very late on the scenes, and we're talking about more advanced governments than we are in many particular ways as well. But technology is just changing too quickly, and what companies are developing right now is on a rapid scale. So we are going to have huge ethical types of issues and all sorts of things. For example, there was an application used by people to use ChatGPT and these other forms of generative AI to find ways of getting through tax law. And so this particular AI chatbot gave them the loopholes and things like with the tax, but then also on its own decided to report this company that was coming up with this technology to the government officials, which it took its own, it was part of its programming was to do that. So the big thing we're going to have is security. So basically all security systems are going to fail in the future. It's a bit off the topic, but that's going to be something that's going to be huge type of things. That are we talking to a human? Remember when you call a bank and you say, I'm Rishad, and your voice is the measurement of that. Now we have these AI tools that can replicate our voices. We see that online with deep fakes, and they can simulate your voice, they can simulate video, they can simulate everything. So there's no way for a bank or an institution to know whether it's you or not. And there's also being these things where a daughter calling her mother in great distress saying, I'm here and I need money, and can you please put this money in my account? And it turns out it wasn't her daughter at all. It was this technology that was used to fake her voice, and the mother panicked and raised the money and put the money into the account and all sorts of things. So yeah, I don't like to highlight the scary part about it, but knowledge is power. So let's get to learn it. Embrace the technology, get to know it really well, get to use it for your benefit, because there are tremendous benefits, and approach it with a sense of inquiry and inquisitiveness, and be prepared for it and have your values straight, and you can benefit tremendously from it. But avoiding it, and like you said, digging your head into the sand, you're going to be swept away, and before you know it, your children or people that you love, or even your spouse decides, I think I'm going to go, you see that now, people going on to Tinder and finding a new partner, putting an advert saying, I don't like my partner, let's hook up. And so that's going to happen, whether you have technology or not. In the old days, before we even had the internet, people used to go to the marketplace and meet up and do these sorts of things. So, yeah, it's going to happen. And technology is going to definitely make that a lot easier.
Let's create AI that's going to foster real connection, real empathy between humans, rather than isolating us, because it feels rather isolating from what you discussed. We've become so singular in everything we do. So what role can users play in encouraging such developments?
Well, encouraging encouraging more that whatever's coming about, I think what's very important is for us to make that differentiation, and I don't think AI is going to become more empathetic. We've got to become more understanding of the technology in order to use it in a sustainable way, if I understand you correctly.
Sure, I think that is true. It's the empathy between humans and AI becoming that empathy. I think, like you said, there could be a divide, and it's not quite there yet, and it's more the humans that need to find a connection versus AI finding the connection. That's how we can round it up.
Yeah, I think so. And if you look at it, empathy is the human quality, because a machine can learn about empathy. But think about it. If I'm sitting here telling you about something that happened to me, and you have experienced something similar, you can experience what that pain would have felt like. Now, a machine can't do that, but what programmers do, they can program a whole bunch of scenarios in there where other people, and then the AI may even say, well, I know what that feels like. But, we know when someone's connecting with us deeply or not. We're like, no, you're not getting it because you haven't been there. Like, for instance, when my father passed away and, someone said to me, oh, I've also lost a loved one. I know what it feels like. And I said, no, because even if you've lost a father, you don't know what I feel like deeply. And so that type of connection, now if someone had lost a father, I'd say, okay, well, maybe I can see some type of empathy and some type of deep connection. And in the workplace and in relationships, there's going to be a huge need to connect to us more. And so we can see right now how technology is influencing our behaviors, and we need to up our game very quickly and not be on autopilot, just allowing technology to do what it does. We need to take a step back and really use technology instead of the technology use us, and then we'll be fine.
It's an incredibly enlightening discussion. I mean, this realm of artificial intelligence and its impact on our relationships and intimacy. I don't know, who knows, maybe in the future we'll have your AI bot speaking on your behalf on the show. I mean, the way it's going, you never know. Is this the real Rishad Ahmed talking?
Yeah, exactly. And there's so many podcasts right now that are entirely generated by AI. It's actually happening now. You'll be listening to a podcast. They can take every single, if you look at my voice and your voice, there's different pitches and different sounds. They've done that with a man named Alan Watts, who was a prolific speaker and a writer. And they gauged every single one of his tonalities. So you go in there, you type a few words and say, speak like Alan Watts, and it sounds 100% like him. But for me, because I've got a very sensitive ear, I'm like, no, it's not exactly that. But it's going to be very difficult to tell the difference.
Thank you again, Rishad. I mean, it's been such an interesting, and I'm sure we're going to have you back again as we head towards this future of, I don't know, what is it, discord or harmony? I don't know. We'll have to find out when we speak again.
Well, I think we're going to choose that, and I think we should choose harmonies, eh? So, I'm looking forward to more conversations, and thank you for the interesting questions as well.
Appreciate it. That's our expert on all things AI. What an incredible discussion we've had with Rishad Ahmed. What did you think about that? I mean, he's a renowned author, leadership coach, specializing in the transition in the age of AI, and definitely giving us some interesting insights into this unknown, as I'd like to put it, because maybe you know something that we don't. Call us 086 000 2032.